are you this morning?
Oh,
No
I think,
sunshine today.
I'm sorry.
No sunshine today. It's raining and spitting outside.
Actually, it's sleeting and snowing here.
Ugh, love it. It's gonna be a great day though.
Every day's a great day, and we know that. But we had quite a day yesterday.
Well, it's one of those days that reminds you to slow down, take a deep breath, and not let anything bother you because the sun will still come up tomorrow. That's the kind of day it was. Yes.
Yes,
You go first.
you called me and said, well, not quite. It's raining in the bedroom, but you had a final walkthrough yesterday, right?
We're scheduled to have a closing tomorrow. Beautiful condominium townhouse, pristine.
Yeah,
And I let the couple and their agent walk through the house. I was sitting, there was no place to sit. I was leaning against the counter, waiting for them to walk through the house. And the agent pops her head over the stair railing and says, "You better come see this." That's never a good sign.
no.
We went upstairs and there were two very distinct wet patches where the ceiling meets the wall in one of the bedrooms. And what was strange about it is that they weren't next to one another. They were completely on opposite sides of the room.
That does not sound good. It sounds like water got in someplace and then just traveled.
And traveled. So we obviously have to take care of it. My seller was not happy.
Nobody's.
We're trying to get hold of a difficult management company. You know, that's a topic for another day. And we do not have responsiveness from them yet. So we don't know what's involved. And we need the management company because we suspect that there's flashing or roof tiles that in the latest rainstorms have shifted and allowed water in. And if that's the case, that's the best possible news because the condo association then must fix it. But until we know,
Mm-hmm. Well, then we were discussing this before we came on air, and I made the assumption. We know what assuming means. I made the assumption that if there is damage inside the unit, the master insurance would cover it, and you said not always. And I guess this is why you generally suggest that when condominium owners get, essentially it's an apartment insurance or it's an internal insurance, that they use the same company that wrote the master insurance.
Exactly, and this is exactly the reason why, because there's bound to be some disagreement between the master deed insurer. Because when you own a condominium, usually the documents specify, believe it or not, that you own the paint on the wall inward, the paint, just the layer of paint, but you don't own the wall. And the association owns the walls outward. Make sense?
Yeah, and I've seen all kinds of different things. This is why it's important to have the lawyer read the master deed. Sometimes it's the studs inward, sometimes it's the outer wall inward, sometimes it's the paint inward. In any case, this will be resolved through insurance.
I'm sure it'll be resolved. I wouldn't be surprised if it delays our closing a couple of days, unless we all agree to a holdback, which probably makes the most amount of sense. But I'm waiting. I don't want to make any assumptions. And frankly, I'm not willing to make any suggestions until we know more. And of course, my new favorite management company.
We won't even go into the challenges that you've had to face there. It's just because,
and I don't know, maybe I should be more forgiving because nobody's working in the office during these COVID crazies. So they're all working remotely, and it seems like the right hand and the left hand are not on the same body. So,
again, this is what you're dealing with. You can't change it, and it'll all come out okay.
And and I hear you in my head sometimes. Nobody's going to die. We're not doing neurosurgery. This is a solvable problem. And to take that a step further, it's only my problem insofar as I care about my clients and I want to represent them well, but that problem doesn't have to come home with me.
Exactly.
And I think that's a very hard lesson for a lot of agents to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, a hard lesson for our clients to understand too.
Well, that's interesting because it kind of feeds into the challenges I had last night.
You had a great day too, huh?
Well, it was a good day.
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden, I was committed for 2 hours for a nonprofit.
Right.
And I said to everybody, I'm not available until 4 o'clock. And all of a sudden, like at 2 o'clock, the whole world, somebody wanting to write an offer, needed help. And then I had a young couple, and I shared it with you last night.
Right.
A lovely young couple, not married, and that's significant when you're buying a house. And we can talk about that.
Money is buying, right? Are they pooling their monies?
They're pooling their monies.
Dangerous. If I were that mom, I'd be saying, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Well, that's a topic for a whole other program. But
Yeah.
we saw a house. We haven't seen many. We saw one the other day. It was a lovely home. And he wanted to buy it. And then afterwards, he says, well, I'm not so sure. And I'm waiting for direction. Should I write an offer or not? We had a deadline. And what made it almost comical in a nice way is that they have no experience doing this. This is a young couple.
Right.
And I finally said to them, because certain things she didn't like, the house was in good condition. And, you could move in, but there were certain things she didn't like about it. And they obviously hadn't communicated with each other about this. And so I finally said, listen, call me back in half an hour.
You guys figure it out, right?
You have to be on the same page. If you're doing it because he wants to, remember you're spending $500,000. You want it to be right. And if this house goes, there'll be another one.
That's the most interesting message. And I think that in these times where inventory is low and you see a lot of competition, I think we get caught up in this whirlwind that says this is the only choice I have.
Yeah.
And I better get to it. And the truth is, there's always another house. There is always another opportunity. Life,
frankly, the relationship is worth more than this house.
Exactly.
And that's it. I said, if you're not on the same page,
either has veto power, whether they recognize it as such or not.
So they called me back 10 minutes after my deadline, says, we're going to pass on this one. What about this house? So I'm scheduled to start showing them houses again this week. But
buyer indecisiveness is really probably a topic one day we should spend a ton of time on. In our industry, there's this phrase, buyers are liars. It's not true.
I hate that. I hate
it. The truth is that knowing what you want evolves as you start looking at property. And what you thought you wanted when you see it may be disappointing.
Yeah. Oh, we could go off on a tangent, but listen, I don't know about you. I've got to go to work.
I have so much to do. It's crazy. I'm going to see if I can get into that house today and get some answers. It'll be not going to be fun, but we'll see. And I will check in with you later.
Okay. Have a great day.
Have a good one.